and Jon Wertheim. How are ya? Good. So you've been out here way longer than I have. It is a scorcher. The heat rule has been in effect most days out here. What are you hearing from the players and from the coaches that you're interviewing about that?
It's interesting because I think it's the humidity as much as it's the heat. And I think it's just been interesting what players have struggled with it and which haven't. And Roger Federer, who does not cut corners on his fitness, was clearly impacted. Nadal in his fourth round match with his team, his quarterfinal his team was clearly impacted. Other players, surprisingly, lumbering Marin Cilic has been doing fine. So I think it's been interesting to see which players have really been affected. It's definitely played a role in these matches. I mean, the flip side to all of this, which I think we need to balance, is fitness is part of sports, discomfort is part of sports, and there were some days where it was just oppressive, dangerous. But if the night match happens to be humid, that's, we don't get to pick our elements in too many sports. It's not climate control. So I think it's a balance, and I think safety for the fans, the players, the officials, that's obviously got to come first. But I do think there is this kind of push-pull between we don't want to reward players who have inferior fitness because we make it too easy.
Right. And I mean, yesterday they actually ended up canceling the junior matches for several hours, which I live in Atlanta. My kid grew up playing in Macon, Georgia. I mean, there's nothing worse in terms of heat and humidity. And they were playing multiple matches a day in USTA tournaments. So,
yeah, one thing I heard, which is an interesting theory, is that you can't replicate this humidity in other parts of the world. So a hot day, most juniors, most even recreational players are accustomed to that. But I think there's some fear that the humidity is something that players aren't necessarily accustomed to. Young players who are from the United States, they didn't play I'm from the Midwest, you're from the South, I'm Macon, Georgia, and the summer you probably are familiar with this. In other parts of
totally.
the world, though. And I think hydration is obviously a big part of this as well, especially with humidity. We saw this with Nadal, even with Roger Federer. What do we always say? You never see him sweat.
Right.
When he played his fourth round match, we saw Roger Federer sweat.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely brutal out here. I mean, you see even like the coaches sitting on the sidelines with towels wrapped around their shoulders and all that. I mean, it's crazy. So speaking of the coaches, in the juniors, they can receive coaching during their matches. And I know in some WTA events, the women can receive coaching as well. Share your thoughts on the coaching during the matches.
Hate it. I think it's one of these, you want to put a shot clock on the court, go nuts. You want to tell ball kids they're now towel racks, they don't have to touch 30 towels, great. Play a tiebreaker and 6-all in the fifth set of the majors, great. Coaching to me is really a poor change. I think this was really sort of snuck in. I have yet to see any evidence that fans, players want this. I don't think there's a groundswell of support for this. But I think one of tennis's great virtues is problem solving and figure things out and making adjustments. I think the whole dynamic changes, and I'm completely opposed to this. I mean, to me, that's like saying we're going to play a 2-bounce rule.
Right.
Sort of sneaking in. I think this has been done, honestly, a little bit underhandedly, and I think it's been sort of lumped in with all these other changes. And you want to say, whoa, this is a serious fundamental change. This is not the same thing as, hey, no warm-up or shake hands before the matches, which I'm completely supportive of.
Right.
I think if you're going to do something as dramatic as have coaching, which again changes really one of the cardinal virtues of the sport, that's got to come with a lot of data and a lot of study, and I feel like it was sort of very underhandedly jammed in. I'm completely adamantly opposed to on-court coaching.
Interestingly, I talked to a few college coaches yesterday, and they agree with you. And as we know, coaching is allowed during college matches. So I found it very interesting that the college coaches were so adamantly opposed to it as well.
Yeah, the other thing now on the pro game that I think is really rough is that it doesn't happen in the majors, but it happens in the tour events. And Martina Navratilova, who's not one to sort of make these statements cavalierly, she says, I have a theory why we see so many upsets in the majors, and it's because these women during the tour events rely on this coaching, and they look over, and at the changeover, the coach, who 9 times out of 10 is a man, comes running down and tells them what to do and calms them. They get to these majors, and we don't have that So the fact that in women's tennis now you have it at the run-of-the-mill events, you don't have it at the major, I think it's a special.
Yeah. Well, another change that's going on in the junior event this year is they're playing lets on serves, and on both the boys and the girls side. And again, it's a college rule on the men's side. It's never been a rule on the women's side. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have no objection to that. And the players, honestly, again, we do it during the rally. Why shouldn't we do it in sports and help matches progress? Yeah, you're going to lose a couple of cheap points when the ball flips the tape and trickles over, but that happens during a rally as well. So,
right.
I don't know if you've heard. I really haven't heard. I haven't heard much. I guess
No.
the other thing is this serve club. I can't call it a shot club. The serve club.
Right.
Came with a lot of fanfare, and it was going to be innovation. I mean, great if it speeds up play, if it has some uniformity, great. But it's been kind of a non-factor.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been funny, and I think some of the juniors were especially concerned about that because it's new for them too. And yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any incidents. Well, that's not true. I was at a couple matches where the kids were warned for delay of game, but I haven't seen any point penalties. I did see one kid lose first serve, though. I will say that. So
right.
yeah, but that's the only penalty I've seen.
I thought we were going to left and right. We were going to see violations and players hurrying up, and it really. I mean, Djokovic, who takes as much time as anyone,
Yeah.
he said, "I'm realizing how much time I have.
Yeah.
I thought I had to hurry up. I've got 7 extra seconds to catch my breath." So it hasn't had any impact that I can see on time of match either. So if the goal of this was to speed up play, maybe it's good. Just players are aware of it. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Right.
But it hasn't been much of a factor.
So one of the other big stories this year in tennis has been the lack of female coaches in the sport. And I had the opportunity before coming out here to be at the WTCA conference, Women's Tennis Coaching Association, and spent 2 days hearing from some incredible people about how we can get more women involved in the coaching side of the sport. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's all, I mean, we all want equality, we all want open access and inclusion. I think one of the keys is just who can give the player the hit. I mean, Roger Federer played John Millman yesterday. John Millman's been a practice partner of Roger Federer. We were saying that probably had an impact on the match. John Millman knew what Roger's strokes were like. He wasn't sort of demystified, and there wasn't this aura of Roger Federer. I could tell you it's the guy I've hung out with. So players are looking for hitting partners that they're not going to have to face on the other side of the net. And if you're a player, especially on the women's tour, that often means playing with a man. I mean, there are very few hitting partners that are female that are going to give Serena Williams a workout or replicate the ball she's going to feel when she plays in Naomi Osaka, for example. So she relies on not just a male coach, but a male hitting partner as well. So I think a lot of this is just sort of the function of tennis and this role of the hitting partner. Players are reluctant to go out and play with other players who might one day be opponents. No, I mean, I think it's an issue. It's another reason I hate on-court coaching. I mean, in theory, there's no reason why, not only women, but women, no reason why. We've seen a little bit on Maresma Murray, we've seen sort of bits and pieces here. There's no reason why women can't coach men except for this dual role of hitting partner. And I think that's where it's not about barriers to entry. It's just about who can replicate the strokes of the opponent.
Interesting. Okay, one last question, then I'll let you go because I know you're busy. There was a Twitter war between Brad Gilbert and Ben Rothenberg yesterday over the 3 out of 5.
Best of 5.
Yeah. Thoughts?
I gotta say, boo for Brad for this yellow card, red card. He can disagree. Doesn't mean Ben Rothenberg has to forfeit his right to an opinion. Brad obviously feels strongly. Bless him. Ben feels strongly the other way. My idea is a compromise and have the first week best of 3 for the men. I don't think people are saying, hey, we need more tennis. This 3-hour match isn't enough. And then the second week you make it best of 5, and you have the classics, you have the better Nadals and the Nadal Dominic team, and you have the gravitas of a best of 5 match, and it has in 4th round, quarters, semis, finals. In the first few rounds, the schedule goes usually best of 3 is enough. I think there are points to be made on both sides, and I think we always talk about the sport getting more physical and injuries are becoming a bigger deal. It seems to me a logical way to address that is maybe to condense some of the matches. But shame on Brad Gilbert. Seriously, I mean, the idea that someone can't have an opinion because maybe he wasn't a top 10 player or Jon Wertheim has given up his right because he disagrees. That's a little cheap.
It was a harsh one. It was harsh, but anyway, it is what it is. This is what social media has done to us, right?
We should resist that.
Yeah, but for social media, you and I may not have ever had the pleasure of meeting. So thank you for the interview, and yeah, so loved seeing you this week, and yeah.
No, good luck. Thanks. You do good work.
Thanks. All right.